kind of overran there. That's fine. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to twitch.tv/ice cream uploads. If you were watching that then on Twitch, usually you'll see we have the intro play. It goes, and I usually listen to the audio cues and press play. However, I don't have audio cues coming through from my PC this morning, so great! Hopefully you can hear everything. Can you hear me? If you can, let me know in the chat. Actually, I can test it for myself. I will just unmute the audio on the stream. Yes, you should be able to hear me. That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. Good morning, number one pirates in the chat with a hello, and he just dropped a host as well. Thank you very much, you lovely, lovely man. I'm guessing Bib didn't have the chat open.
No, I did because I've been doing the command stuff. I had it on full screen, so I've now just erected it onto the other screen.
Oy, oy. Well, anyway, if you are in the chat, I can hear you. You're jobby, says Pirate. Good morning, good morning. Welcome. This is Ice Cream, and this is The Scoop, your daily dose of news from the games industry and beyond. We pick the biggest articles, and we bring them front and center for you guys. We give you our thoughts and impressions, and we want your thoughts and impressions. And if you are live on twitch.tv/ice cream uploads, you can do that. Give us your thoughts and impressions in the chat. Just like Pirate, who's called me a jobby. It's a good thought, it's a good impression. Although technically it's actually Crispo's thought, but we'll let it slide. We'll let it slide. Anyway, you can watch this video on demand on YouTube too. If you're watching on YouTube right now, hi. Well, hi. And as well as watching on demand on YouTube, you can watch on demand on Twitch, and we give you 4 places where you can listen to the show on demand too. iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, and Google Play are our 4 audio podcast services. Yes, all of the words that I can say properly. So lots of places to get ice cream right in your eyes and in your lugholes for your daily dose of news and scoopage. Anyway, my name is Graham Day. You probably know that if you're in here. If you don't, good morning. And this guy in a box, actually doesn't need to be in a box. We've got split screen opportunities now. So we're an equal opportunity streamer. So there we go, same sizeage. Morning, Bib.
Good morning.
How the devil are you, sir?
Yes, I'm good. I've got some news actually. It's something that I haven't actually mentioned to you.
Surprises.
So, those of you that know that I'm on a spiritual adventure to try and lose weight, I'm not on a diet. I'm just eating better. If that counts. I don't like using the other word, but anyway, I didn't want to weigh myself purely because that just fucking ruined my life if it did, and I just wasn't losing anything. Basically, I've been eating well for about 2 months now, well since after Christmas, and I've officially lost 1.5 stone. Which I'm fucking super stoked about.
Let's celebrate it by playing the Radical Heights theme tune. Yeah.
I've reached the golden weight of still losing stuff off my tits. So I'm I don't even know. I haven't even got a goal weight or anything like that. I literally just want to be a bit fitter so that when I'm running around this football pitch and this charity day, that I'm not getting, rinsed by a shit player who potentially might be a little bit fitter than me. So that's the goal. I'm getting there slowly. I'm pretty stoked as it stands.
GG. Absolute G's. I, meanwhile, continue to get more and more rotund on a daily basis. High five!
Don't worry. As soon as this match is finished, mate, the pizzas are back. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm talking about. Anyway, a little bit of housekeeping. Obviously, Baby was talking about the Score Against Cancer charity match, which is happening later on in the year. We will talk about that more as it happens, but in the meantime, we have something else that requires football matches that's happening this very week. Friday, 6:30 p.m. The triple threat Ice Cream Uploads Invitational will be taking place. We have 8 teams of 3 players. That's 3v3 action that will be starting at 6:30 p.m. twitch.tv/Ice Cream Uploads. The event has prizes. We've just given away a GT Omega prize bundle on social media yesterday, I think it was, or Monday, and we have more of that to come, plus prizes for the competitors from our event sponsors, Nakon. The event is sponsored by Nakon and GT Omega, so much love to those guys. Those guys have given us a few extra bits for you, the viewers, to win. So if you want to watch that stream, 6:30 p.m, we'll be running for probably 4 or 5 hours, depending on how long it takes to get through the whole event. And we have prizes for the people competing as well as you. So if you want to drop in on Friday, make sure you add that to your calendar. If you're watching now, hit the follow button, and then that way you'll get notified every time we go live. Just drop in, and if you've got the time to watch, job's a good one. If not, well, at least you know that we give you the opportunity to drop in and join us. So make sure you do it now. It's going to be amazing. I am genuinely, now it's getting closer, I'm starting to get more and more excited. It's amazing when you're sat in the studio and you've got that environment going on, and it literally, when you watch a streamer, it's easy to just think, oh, they're just playing a game. Oh, he's just playing a game. And most of the time, that is the case. I've got hundreds of most of the time, that is the case. They are just playing a game. But this is not just playing a game. This is playing a game for bragging rights, for pride, for prizes. So it all starts to mean something. And you can feel the intensity as the stream goes on. The first couple of games, everyone's a bit casual. People are just trying to have a bit of showboat, not put too much on. When you're starting to get towards the end of the groups, it starts to mean something then, and that's when it starts to get sexy. So even if you can't be there at 6:30, by the time we get to 7:30, that's where you need to be. So make sure you drop in. Also, shout out to Twitch as well. We have a couple of hours on the front page as well. Our little channel, clearly making waves because we have front page as well this Friday evening. So shout out to Twitch for the support as well. It's going to be good, babe.
Yeah, I'm super looking forward because I'm currently I am in the studio now, but this morning I was doing a few tweaks and that to all of our platforms that we're going to be using for it. So as of tomorrow, the studio is going to be free for me to be able to come in and finish off in preparation for the event on Friday. So it's once you start getting hands-on with shit, that's when you start to get excited. And once you start using things like the Stream Deck and you're seeing animations and shit pop up, you're just like, it's going to be the biggest and best by an absolute landslide.
Yeah, I mean, think of everything we've done. If you've seen any of the Score Against Cancer live streams, if you've seen any of the Ice Cream Uploads Invitational live streams that we've done from our studio, this takes all of that stuff and then just adds a little bit more on top of it. So it's going to be good. It's going to be good. Anyway, let's jump into the news. Obviously, you guys want to know content. I know particularly the first story, Bibby has a little bit of invested... not a little bit invested. He is invested in the story a little bit. And as you've seen from the tweet, which is live on Twitter, twitter.com/icecreamuploads, the first article of the day focuses on Resident Evil 3, written by Stephany and Nunneley for VG247. The article says, a demo for Resident Evil 3 Remake is coming. Calm down, babe. You can't see him. He's on screen now. He's actually doing a lap of this. Sit down! So Capcom will release a demo for Resident Evil 3 Remake, so that's something to look forward to. A date for the Resident Evil 3 Remake demo was not provided by Capcom, but the company said to expect details in the near future. Now there's an embedded tweet in the article from @RE_games, which is Resident Evil's Twitter. It was written in the stars. A Resident Evil 3 demo is on the way. We'll have more details in the near future. Alex from VG247 was lucky enough to have played several hours of the game recently, so if you're interested in picking it up in April, give his hands-on a read, and they link through to his hands-on article within this article. You can also look over some lovely new screenshots and shots and concept art for the game, as well as its add-on Resident Evil Resistance. And the game is out on April 3rd for PC, PS4 and Xbox One. So a very, very brief article without too much details, but the one thing that is confirmed is pretty tasty. There is a Resident Evil 3 demo on the way in the near future, and considering that we're on the 26th of February, so there's 3 days left of February, the game comes out 3 days into April. There is literally like 4 and a bit weeks until the game comes out, so the game demo will definitely be coming out in the very near future.
Yeah, and it's
if you were to summarise that in one syllable noise, Bib, what noise would you go for?
It would be the kind of noise that I make when I'm trying to think of something to say. So it's like it's just a large output of air from my mouth. But yeah, it's getting close now, man. It doesn't feel like. I remember being upstairs when they were doing the Project Resistance stuff. I was like, oh, it's just the Outbreak stuff. I'm super psyched about it, but we'll see. And then I'm watching the trailer for the Resistance stuff, and I'm like, yeah, this looks pretty good actually. I'm looking forward to playing it. And then boom, you see Jill. Well, you don't see Jill. You just see someone running through the corridors when the gaff's on fire, burst through the door. Boom, Jill Valentine in a blue vest burst through, being chased by Nemesis, mate. I'm fucking stoked, man.
For those of you that have seen it, if not, Go look for it. There is a meme on Twitter used by football fans predominantly, and it's Jamie Carragher and Thierry Henry sat in a studio, and like, is it Thierry Henry puts his hand on Carragher's knee or something? It's like a kind of moment
when Brendan Rodgers gets sacked.
But that was effectively Bibby, but times that by about 1,000. It was like it was kind of like chilled back in the office chair, and then when he realised what it was like straight up to the screen. Oh my god!
It was one of them moments, like, right, everyone in the office was like super excited about the PlayStation state of play. So we're all pretty much watching it, and it's all synced at the same time. It's like, oh my fuck, get gone! Oh, Bibby's okay. Is he okay in the corner? Maybe not.
Bibby, meanwhile, is just sat there crying, rocking back and forth, shouting out the words, "Thank you, thank you." Bibby, there's literally no one here. You're watching a video. Yeah, exactly. You're literally watching a video online. Thank you. You're not talking. Thank you very much. It's all right. Thank you. All right. Okay. Cheers.
It's so good. Like the second, as I said, I've played through these games a million times. We played through Resident Evil 2 Remake on stream. I've played through Resident Evil 2 on my old stream way back in the day. We did Resident Evil 3 on this stream not long ago. Resident Evil 7 got done on this stream not long ago by me and Joseph. So we've got form to be able to play it on this channel, and people know me as a survival horror guy. So it's getting closer to my most anticipated game of the year anyway, even though we have got things like Cyberpunk and Final Fantasy coming out, which I'm both looking forward to equally. Hey,
I've been really
they've gone down like
baby.
centimetre.
Trying to hold back this feeling for so long. Demo is on.
It's my most anticipated game of the year, and it's coming out extremely soon.
Nice. It's interesting though that we've got to this point and then saying it is on the way and we'll have more details in the near future. And it's literally, that was like, obviously they tweeted that yesterday, 4 p.m. our time. So you kind of think that's almost like a placeholder tweet. It's got to be surely coming out in the next 2, maybe 3 weeks. Because if not, you will unless they're having the demo coming out alongside release. Usually you want to see the demo before it happens to give people the taste of like, oh, okay, I've loved this. I've loved streaming it. Everyone's had a time to stream it and watch it and build up to it, and then you buy the full game. Usually you don't have the demo at the same time as the full game. You miss out on the content opportunities.
Here's a thought. Maybe this was potentially available to have been played at PAX East. And obviously, Capcom aren't going now. It's either PAX East or GDC. It was one of the two that they pulled out of.
PAX.
There wasn't going. Is it PAX?
Yeah.
There was meant to be going to PAX Capcom, and they've now pulled out. Maybe it was going to be playable there. They're not going anymore, so they're actually just going to upload what was playable there onto the store. Like we said, they potentially could have done with The Last of Us, but the problem is, this game's already been data mined through the PlayStation Store already. So people have found out loads of stuff. Should this get posted to Steam, for instance, where they've got a legacy of people going in and being able to data mine, scrape stuff that they potentially shouldn't be scraping, and then releasing it? I was lucky enough last year to go into playing Resident Evil 2 because I didn't purposely read any articles or anything like this. This article says that you can have a look at the hands-on read. I'm purposely not reading that because I want to go into it myself with my own ideas of how the game should be, and I just want to enjoy the experience. So potentially it could have been playable at PAX, but obviously now they're not going. They're just going to release that demo onto the PlayStation Store now for us to be able to play. Maybe they wasn't going to release it, but they did with Resident Evil 2. I don't know, but either way, we're going to be getting a Resident Evil game playable within, I think, it should be in the next 2 weeks. I mean, I'd absolutely love it if it was this weekend.
I mean, when that's probably a good point. I mean, when is PAX?
It was meant to be the 27th, wasn't it?
Was it
the 27th to the 1st?
So tomorrow then. So yeah, it could be in theory this weekend. I mean, usually what you would get if you're having a demo coming out and you have something like that, you either have it come out at the same time, so you can see people playing the game at PAX, people are taking videos, doing off-screen stuff, and rather than just having the world looking at a really crap off-screen mobile phone recording of, oh, here's me, and what's it called, the big toothy thing in Resident Evil 3, the big Nemesis, that's it. So rather than having...
I didn't know, sorry, you kept some breaking up then, I was like,
I was talking to you in Morse code. That's what it is. So rather than having like people taking duff mobile phone videos of Nemesis off screen, which they will be doing anyway because they'll be excited about playing it. That's good because you get the excitement share. It's bad for the way that your brand is represented because you don't control any of the narrative in how that looks. You've spent all your time making 1080p, 60 FPS, super sexy content, or 4K video gameplay, whatever, and then you're seeing it in like really naff, pixelated, off-screen stuff, and it just makes the game look bad and everything looks worse. So quite often you get the demo comes out alongside the gameplay. If they were supposed to be at PAX and if they were gonna have Resi 3 playable at PAX, then in the ideal scenario, you'd have the demo coming out as soon as PAX stores open. The demo will be playable. If not, then you announce that the demo will be playable on Tuesday or whatever, so everyone goes to PAX for the weekend and does the thing, but your game's not actually coming out till Tuesday. So in an ideal world, they'd announce that. So yeah, you could be right. We could potentially just have it drop. Boom! It's here now. Or because they've delayed that, it's given them a little bit more time to work on their marketing campaign in terms of, okay, we'll push that back a week and then we'll go that. So yeah, I mean, that in mind, it could drop really soon, and that in the near future could be very near. If not, I reckon 2 weeks or so, and then we'll have it landing, and everyone can get all excited. I was going to say something, but it's slipped my mind now. So
can't tell you because you're not meant to call that shit out.
Okay. Is it lurkers?
Yeah.
Oh, you'll have to tell me afterwards. So, the question, not so much the question. It was more of a statement. That's what I was gonna get at. So, in 5 weeks on Friday. 5 weeks on Friday. Resident Evil 3 drops. I believe that we should revisit our plan that we had for Resident Evil 2. So I think mix it up a little bit, obviously. So Friday morning, start on the channel 10 a.m. with the scoop, and then we instantly jump into a baby playthrough of Resident Evil 3 Remake on the channel.
I agree, and I think we need to revisit it because I've just had a look in my calendar now, and we have something penciled in there already.
Oh yes, we do. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Maybe we can't do it then, because that thing I don't think can move.
Fuck. I don't think it can either. I know.
Okay. Well,
so we have something penciled in. We'll figure it out. Either way, even if the thing that we have penciled in is during our time in the studio anyway, there is absolutely every chance that I'm going to be playing this as soon as I get home. 5:30, 5:45-ish. I'll be home, PlayStation disc in, and I'll play right through the night. I'm not arsed. I'm playing that game before anyone puts any spoilers out.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite a nice thing for us, actually. The thing on the 3rd, whilst it might get in the way of us doing a full playthrough of Resident Evil 3 on the day like we did with Resident Evil 2, we do have a sponsored stream, which I think might even be our first sponsored stream on Ice Cream Uploads. So yeah.
That's what I mean. So it's, even if it is unchangeable for my own selfish benefits of not being able to play Resident Evil, in terms of channel growth and our progression forward, is our first officially sponsored. Are we allowed to say what? We're not allowed to say what it is, but it's not a sponsorship like GT Omega, or it's not a third-party sponsorship anyway. It's like a proper first. We're good to go kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be a nice little bit of content. I think we'll announce more of that pretty soon. But yeah, not now. Asim says, gonna be smashing my way through Resident Evil 3 Remake with a change of pants at hand, of course. Bibby always has changed of pants. I mean, he's got one just there for now. I mean, he's literally not wearing pants at the moment. That's why he took his jacket off without standing up, because, you know.
Well, ideally, I know a lot of people are going to be picking this up. So maybe like the week after, potentially, I can potentially put a discussion out where we can get quite a few of us talking about the game in general, so we could have a Resident Evil 3 in review kind of thing, so that we could talk about our experiences. I can guarantee my take is going to be completely different to yours, Asim, and it'll be completely different to the likes of Precision's as well, and all the rest of the community guys that actually enjoy playing Resident Evil 2. So it'd be nice if we could get a nice little roundtable discussion. That'd be great.
You don't call him Precision, and you don't call him OP3 either when it comes to Resident Evil. It's Poocision. That's his name.
Oh, Poocision.
Poocision. If he's in the gym this morning or doing his... I can't remember what the phrase is. I want to say defibrillate, but he's clearly not electrocuting his own chest.
What does he call him?
Is it nebulizing?
That's it, yeah.
So if he's doing that, yeah, good morning, Poocision. Hi. Yeah. We should get like an ICU roundtable, get everyone sat around, a nice little group discussion, and just have a... So what does Resident Evil mean to you? And I'll be like, I don't know. Whatever Bibby says. Yeah, exactly.
You need to start Resident Evil 2 then within the next 4 weeks.
I have it sat there. Well, not there. It's downstairs, which is roughly in that direction. Yeah, me and Danielle. Danielle does keep saying we need to play through that. We still also have Overcooked 2 to play through, which is complete opposite end of the spectrum. Both of them, though, have the potential to be very, very traumatic. So, yeah. I will go through that. By the way, if you haven't ever played Overcooked, you honestly need to get involved. #spawn, no, not even a spawn at all. Team 17 are by no way affiliated with this at all. It's just an amazing / infuriating / wonderful / horrible game that's wonderful. Anyway, let's move on. We know Resident Evil 3 demo is coming. And we can tell because every now and then, if you just sit still and listen, you can just hear the noise of an excited baby just whistling through the winds. Oh my god! Anyway, let's jump into the next bit of news. We could have led with this story, but obviously we can't not lead with the Resident Evil 3 news when we have been on the podcast. And also we led with some Xbox content yesterday, and we didn't just want to be a one-sided channel. I mean, we tried to balance it as much as we could yesterday, but I had a PlayStation t-shirt on, God's sake. But a little bit more Xbox news today. Xbox boss calls for greater transparency on key issues. So not necessarily consumer-focused. This is more industry-focused news, which is... quite good to jump on every now and then. But Phil Spencer says the industry should lead public discussion of problems like crunch and game loops that are exploitative. So Xbox boss Phil Spencer believes the industry needs to be more transparent about its problems if it is to properly address the negative perceptions of those on the outside looking in. Oh, I didn't actually say this is written by Matthew Handrahan for GR.biz. So Spencer's comments were part of a long conversation with Insomniac Games founder Ted Price, who also hosts the Game Maker's Notebook, the official podcast for the Academy of Interactive Arts and Sciences. In terms of tackling major issues like fighting toxicity, promoting diversity, and moving towards a healthier working culture, Spencer said he is very happy with the progress that we have all made jointly. However, he also acknowledged a tendency to avoid speaking openly and publicly about mistakes, including at conferences like DICE, where Price and Spencer had their conversation. One of the things that I used to love about DICE, and I don't see as much anymore, is kind of doing the post-mortem on the big game or the big experience. And what did we learn, Spencer said. It wasn't always pretty, standing up and being unafraid to talk about what went well, where you thought you were going to go and where you landed, he added. We don't do as much of that in the industry as we used to do. Spencer observed a similar trend in the San Francisco Game Developers Conference, arguably the most important industry event in the calendar, but one that has become more commercial over time. While that evolution is understandable, he said, it also means there is a camera on you the whole time, which creates a tension between the desire to speak openly and the instinct to think about public relations. It happens in the halls, Spencer said, referring to honest conversations about difficult subjects. Those conversations do happen. From the outside, I don't feel like people know how small this industry is in terms of the number of teams and people. We know each other and we've known each other for quite a while, and we're totally open to having those conversations. However, Spencer referred back to a question Price asked him about what the industry could do more of, and expressed the need for its leading companies to be more transparent about its problems and have those conversations in the open. Let me just see how long this article is. It's quite a long article. See if I can pick out the key points. Okay, jumping on to crunch now. There are numerous examples of crunch being exposed at game companies of all sizes, NetherRealm and Epic Games to name just two, but Spencer also addressed scrutiny of exploitative techniques within games. This has been particularly strong in Europe, where the Dutch government has taken a strong position against the use of loot boxes. A UK parliamentary committee has recommended similar measures, and the British industry has attracted criticism for politicians for not properly engaging with the issues it faces. Price added that there is a lot of cynicism around the industry, which is amplified by everything that's available online. While he didn't comment on the root of that cynicism, he also pointed to greater transparency as the industry's best defence against its detractors. To attack that cynicism in an authentic way, you really have to be transparent, he said. If we're just completely one-sided either way, overly positive or overly negative and introspective, it doesn't work that well. Spencer returned to that problem while those conversations to the problem that while those conversations do take place, they generally only happen one-to-one between colleagues in closed environments. According to Spencer, the industry leaders need to exhibit the quality of openness and transparency he once saw in those old DICE postmortems. Those kinds of open, balanced discussions do happen, and the more public we are, the more we own the opportunities we see, he said. So it's not some senator or somebody at the EU or somebody in the press who feels they're pointing out something we're trying to hide. I think it's just better for us to be transparent. If we say there's responsibility in the social aspects of gaming, we also have to say there's negative aspects to the social side of gaming, and they're real, and we have to tackle those. You can't just spotlight the girl playing Zelda with the Xbox adaptive controller. You also have to talk about the stuff that we need to work on. We have to be open about both of those. And you can hear the full conversation between them both in the current episode of Game Maker's Notebook. Thank you very much for the host, Precision.
Thank you, Precision.
I don't know if you've just tuned in, Precision. We were talking about you defibrillating yourself whilst listening to this podcast. Is it nebularizing?
That sounds right.
And we're talking about Resi, and we can't refer to you as Precision when we talk Resi. We can't refer to you as OP3 when we talk Resi. We have to refer to you as Precision because it is the law. Nebulizing, that's the one. Yeah. Good morning, anyway. Good morning. Thank you for the host. So many aliases. Oh. I mean, it's Opoo3. That's what it is. Opoo3. So what would you say your instant take is away from that article there, Dave?
I do agree with him when it comes to transparency across the board when it comes to video games, but there is some things that they can and won't say purely because it may potentially damage their brand, or it's something that they're currently working on. Why would you want to deal your hand to everybody else? We've seen it. What's going on Twitter at the moment with Yorkshire Tea? Do you know what I mean? It doesn't matter what it is. Someone will take offence or want to rub you up the wrong way for something that's completely. You say
Which
something.
Is what she said.
You'll say something, they'll take it the complete opposite way and then stir it to whatever narrative that they want to underlie the issue with. So I can understand why a lot of these video game companies don't want to deal their hand in terms of crunch or whatever it is that their hot topic of the month is when it comes to video games. But transparency, I don't think full transparency is the way forward. I do feel like sometimes communication between whoever, if it's a publisher, a developer, maybe not a developer, just keep them behind closed doors, because Jesus Christ, people will be going mental, especially if something's wrong with the game. But the front of house staff, they need. I think they need more support in some terms. They need more support from the higher ups who potentially don't want to get involved in a shitstorm, but they still have to deal with the shitstorm. Do you know what I mean?
It's interesting to see.
It's a tough thing to be able to talk about because, not in our terms. I just mean in terms of the games that are being created by the publishers or whoever it is that's working on the game. They want to be as transparent as they can, but you'd just be fighting fires constantly, and you'd never get anything done.
It's interesting to see how he talks that, and you can see it. I mean, we've spoken about it when we've talked about E3. If you want a little bit of nostalgia, a 5-minute look at how the games industry has matured and grown, look at E3 conferences from around 2008. And then look at E3 conferences 10 years later, and literally it's like chalk and cheese. You literally have some established companies doing sales presentations to a room of people sat in chairs. You go to 2018 or 2019, last year's, and you've got the Bethesda E3 showcase in a theater in downtown LA kind of thing, and you're like, oh, this is class. But seeing that growth is exactly what Phil Spencer's talking about in terms of the spotlight, having those sort of like casual conversations, those postmortems that he mentions that he used to have at DICE, where they would just sit and have a chat openly between like-minded people that understand the ins and outs of the industry, and they'd say things that they know aren't going to be twisted or aren't going to be taken out of context and so on, and you're used to that in terms of if you've just done a big front of house moment. Phil Spencer sitting there talking about the next Xbox console, and he's talking about the what was it called, smart delivery stuff. He knows that's a PR approved statement. He's had it PR approved. He's practiced his delivery. He's sat there with his PR managers who have then asked him questions and that they expect journalists to ask him, and listen to how he's answered it, and they've gone, actually no, don't say that because that can be twisted and interpreted, and he got okay. So they ask him the question again and he answered it in a different way. That sort of stuff, he will go through that PR training, those drilling. This is how you answer these questions, that gets everything out, that doesn't have the ability for journalists to take words and say them in what is the right way, but it's what they then kind of almost infer between the lines that changes something. I had something in the past where I was asked. Let's talk about. I was interviewed when there was the whole Kojima Konami thing going on, and someone asked me, "Do I think Metal Gear games could live on without Kojima?" And I was effectively saying Kojima's made characters that are so good and storylines that are so good that, in theory, yeah, someone that has a decent level of creativity, you don't even need to be at Hideo Kojima's god tier level. You just need to be like decent at telling stories. You've got all the ingredients to make something wonderful. So I was basically saying Kojima's done such a good job that I think most people could do a good job with a Metal Gear story. And then it was like, Konami says they don't need Kojima, and it's like, no, I'm commenting as Graham Day, a fan of games, not Konami, and I'm not saying they don't need Kojima. I'm saying that Kojima's done a good job, that they can give anyone the tools to work with. However, journalists took that and twisted it, and technically they're right. They're saying they don't need Kojima, but that's not what I was saying. But you can infer that, and that's the thing is, when you get to these conferences like DICE, Phil Spencer wants to be open about what he's saying, but where was the comment? And that's it now. Whenever I have a media interview now, he absolutely smashed it. It was... there we go. While that evolution is understandable, he said, it also means that there is a camera on you the whole time, which creates a tension between the desire to speak openly and the instinct to think about PR. And that's it. That's where it's a shame, because the industry, they want to tell you. I said the industry. I mean, these like people like Phil Spencer, people that are passionate, people that have something so exciting to talk about. The new generation of consoles, the new generation of experience, the ways that you play those games, the games, the experiences that you get from that. All that is what he's about to talk about. But rather than just saying what he's excited about, he has to think, actually, how can I phrase this? How can I say that? Which is just part and parcel of our media culture. As soon as something becomes successful, people want to take the stories out of it. You do get the negative sells, bad news sells. So obviously people are looking to take negatives out of everything, and it's sad that it has to be a little bit more preventative on that. But he's asking for greater transparency, but then he goes on to kind of the more Yorkshire tea stuff that you were mentioning as well there, in terms of that transparency and being open and stuff. By doing that across the board, by applying that level of transparency across the board, you get to the point where you're making it easier to get rid of the toxicity. If you're open and transparent, then people aren't second guessing your motives and so on, because they've got the full picture. And then if they are being negative and toxic and attacking you, then they're not doing that, because the thing is, if you're not being transparent, people can say, okay, well, maybe this troll has a point. But if you are being fully transparent, then it's, look, mate, you're just being a troll for the sake of being a troll. Shut the fuck up. You don't need to be a dick for being a dick.
It's not that. It's not just that, though, innit? You've seen it, like, go back to the Yorkshire Tea thing. They have been brutally transparent, saying we have absolutely nothing to do with this. Like, we have no idea where all this came from. Why would we want to get involved ourselves? Why would we want to involve ourselves on a Friday afternoon when we're just about to leave and go home? Like, this is absolutely nothing to do with us. But people will not read between the lines and just go around the outside to try and forge whatever narrative that they want to inject into it. So sometimes even being the most direct you could possibly, like you just used the example about you and the Konami stuff. Why would you want to even talk about it when you know full well people will just take out little bits without the context and just go wild from there?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's. I was just some knobhead stood at EGX on a stand on a Saturday. I'm not Phil Spencer stood on the main stage at the Xbox live conference in the Staples Center at the prime event at E3. So that was, for me. For him, it's gonna be, he's gonna not just have one journalist trying to make his little site explode. And to be fair to the journalist, I shouldn't have given him the ammunition now in hindsight, but I did. Young naive Graham got caught out by a very smart, clever journalist that made his little blog get shitloads of exposure. He probably earned a fortune paid for his site hosting for the rest of the year. That was his aim, and he succeeded, so absolute fair play to him. But that then leads back to the whole thing of that whole situation, because there wasn't the transparency around the Kojima situation. People were looking for stuff, and obviously I don't know the whole situation. I still don't know the whole situation now. But trying to say something nice about the quality of the characters and script writing that got a shitload of hate, kind of thing, and that's where it gets shit, because that's where toxicity comes from. It turns your comments and stuff into shit things, which then ties in with speaking about Yorkshire Tea. I'm going to shoehorn one of my own tweets into the show here. So this is something I posted. There you go, 11 p.m. February 24th. I'm lying in bed at 11:30, reading about Yorkshire Tea, and I saw that quote. So that bit that I've highlighted in the middle there, this is actual comments from Yorkshire Tea. They've basically just been smashed all weekend because someone bought some of their tea bags and took a picture with it. Yorkshire Tea got absolute hate because someone else did something out of their control. Yorkshire Tea have said, I'll read the full quote, not just a bit of highlighted. It's easier to be on the receiving end of this, and that's a backlash they're talking about, as a brand rather than as an individual, the thread continued. There's more emotional distance, and I've had a team to support me when it got a bit much. So this is the person from the Yorkshire Tea social team. They've basically have support, someone helping them deal with the toxic negative they've had because someone else did something. But for anyone about to vent their rage online, even to a company, please remember there's a human on the other end of it and try to be kind. So I posted this, saying it might be a comment from a company that makes tea bags, the best in the world I might add, but it also applies to video games and everything else that has a social presence. Try to remember it the next time you want to angry tweet your favourite brand channel. Seems like a no-brainer to me, absolute no-brainer. If you're going to be a dick to a company, remember that someone has to receive that anger. If you're making complaints and whatever, you can do that without being a dick. Being upset and being a dick don't have to be side by side. They don't have to be together. They can be mutually exclusive. You can be upset and share your points and not be a dick. That is very possible. So as you've seen, sadly, the responses from but it's a person's job if they can't handle it. The job isn't for them. Snowflake, grow thicker skin, says Asim. Absolutely. Really nice comments, people getting it. But then, let's fast forward to, I don't know, about 2 o'clock this morning. Look at this. This is the kind of toxicity that lack of transparency leads to, and having transparency will help to eradicate this. So he says, this is a tweet at me in response to that from at BKH2340496, a name that just rolls off the tongue. He says, banks are parasites. Humans work at banks. And then a quote from himself, the lower level employees don't make the rules. By working at the bank, you represent the bank. Hence, you are approving of what the bank stands for. Is there no personal responsibility in your world? And then just read that. I mean, there's so many flaws in there. I have worked at a bank that has shafted me many times. However, there are other things. I mean, people work at banks because they believe in the banking system. The banks aren't necessarily parasites. Some of the decisions by banks have been parasitic or shit. Don't get me wrong, but banks aren't parasites by trade. People are there to deliver a service, and a lot of people working in banking believe they can help by delivering those services. So, sweeping statement. But is essentially saying that is fact to begin with. A toxic behaviour. A quote thrown in there to add some stature to his comments to make it seem legit. The lower level employees don't make the rules. Who said that? No one said that. No one's even talking about banks. Where are you coming with that? Back the fuck away from the conversation, you weirdo. And then by working at a bank, you're approving of what the bank stands for. Not necessarily. I worked at a bank for about 6 months in a call centre. I was working at a bank and didn't approve of what I was doing. However, I have a wife, I have a child, I have a mortgage, and paying for that is something I approve of. So delivering a service is more important to me than that. None of that is considered. But then the final comment, is there no personal responsibility in your world? This is coming from an account that has this face and at BKH234. Talk to me about personal responsibility when you represent yourself. If you're not representing your personal feelings and pushing out comments about personal responsibility, you aren't taking responsibility for those quotes. BKH2340495 or whatever is taking personal responsibility. So fuck off, dickhead.
Absolute whopper.
Yeah, absolute. That is why we need the transparency that Phil Spencer talks about. We need it. Are we going to get it? Is it possible to do that? Absolutely not overnight. Yes, maybe, but it requires huge sweeping societal changes. For someone to think it's acceptable to create an anonymous troll account whilst calling out personal responsibility, he literally is not seeing a flaw there. That is literally cause and effect. He can't see that he's calling out the thing that he's doing, and unless we see sweeping societal changes they'll fix that, then we're going to have that level of trolling forever. So yeah, hopefully it's something that society does figure out, but I, as someone that has to deal with that sort of shit, just can't tell you how we fix broken people like this.
No.
Man.
Seems like an impossible task at this point.
Yeah. Where's the article? I mean, I do think, jumping back into the transparency more from the industry side of things, I do think it's nice to see him mentioning crunch and game loops are exploitative and things like that should be gone. And I do agree with Phil Spencer's comment that the industry should be leading that. The issue we have at the moment, which hurts the transparency and hurts the industry, is we all know, everyone knows that loot boxes are gambling. They are. Yeah. It's as simple as that. We know it. It's not necessarily. You could probably throw loose statements in. Is it hard gambling? Is it soft gambling? It's gambling. Soft gambling is still gambling. Let's just break it down to its core. That's what it is. And the fact that the only reason they're being removed from the industry is because either the consumers have hated it to the point where it's had to be removed, like Star Wars Battlefront, or legislators are writing it out through law. The fact that governments are removing that stuff from games and not the industry itself is why we need that level of transparency. Transparency and respect only comes. I mean, toxicity jumps in when you don't have transparency and respect, and you only get that transparency and respect by being respectful and by using money-making schemes like loot crates and knowing that they're there for, but trying to say it's surprise. That's what we want. We're selling the surprise. You're not. You are earning money from a flawed mechanic. And yeah, I absolutely applaud Phil Spencer for saying that the industry should lead public discussion on stuff like that. Those game loops. And crunch. It shouldn't be that people have to actually say, well, look, my life is fucked, and loads of people then stand up and go, okay, me too, my life's fucked and everything. You shouldn't have to get to that level. The industry should be regulating itself in that sort of way. And until we get to that point, then yeah. So, I mean, fair play on Phil Spencer. The downside for that is Phil Spencer's making hardware, not software, and a lot of those problems are software focused. So it's easier for him to say that than it would be for whoever the boss of EA is, for example. So yeah. So that's the video I was on about a while ago, back with Dad. If he'd known that his Google account would let him comment, he might have been banned. What video? Which video? I don't know what video. I might be dyslexic, so I struggle to read between the lines, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that is a bit of a prick. That guy is a lot of a prick, not a bit of a prick. I quote tweeted his tweet earlier on, actually, saying essentially what I've just said. I'll bring it back up on screen now. So here's my quote tweet. So I'm quoting him. Is there no personal responsibility in your world? And then in asterisks, hides personal identity. You can't make this stuff up. So no doubt I will get some sort of negative backlash to that when this guy jumps back online a bit later on today. But it's worth it just to point out that this guy's a bit of a numpty. But yeah, is what it is. I mean, the thing is, looking at him, he's talking about banks, and a quick look through his profile, he's been angry at EA Sports and FIFA, which is something I have no links to, and I've not mentioned banks once. So I'm assuming that's where he's coming from, because he's negative massively to EA Sports, and I think by coming up with things like his bank analogy, that's him trying to find a way of justifying his behaviour. So yeah, that's the reason why I quote-tweeted it, because I thought, you know what, you're a pillock, and let's make an example of you. But if he does come back, I'm going to do the rare thing that I don't usually block people, but it's nice to have a go at the trolls, but it's not good to feed them, because then they just keep coming. So I'll just block him and get rid of him. People like that just aren't worth the time. Anyway, that got pretty deep.
Yeah, we had two more. No, wait. We've got three more stories, but we've only got time for one.
Okay, kill that one.
It's 20 to 12.
Yeah. Do you know what? Let's do a news breakdown. We'll jump across two very quickly, do the headlines, and then we'll jump into the last one. Just that way we can mention them all in. So let's remove discussing now. And the next article is New Zoo global esports market will reach $1.1 billion in 2020. Nearly 3/4 of all revenue will come in from sponsorship and media rights. Unsurprisingly, esports is massive and will continue to grow to the point that in 2020 it will break $1.1 billion. That was Bibi Not a Car, by the way. That low bassy rumble had eggs and beans last night. That's what it is. Franks and beans. Anyway, so as you can see, most of the hours are coming from a very top-heavy environment. As you'd expect, the big games are earning the big money and have the big numbers of viewers. But esports continues to grow. Jumping into our next article. This is one that we included. We actually were going to include it yesterday, but we kind of ran out of time with all of the Xbox content, and it would have been nice to include this for some balance from one console manufacturer to another, but we'll include it here. PS5 controller will measure your heart rate and detect sweat, suggests patent. So essentially, jumping back through it, we expect that the PS5 controller will have more buttons on the back, no light bar, some multiplayer stuff, haptic triggers and things that we've kind of said in the past previously, but we've never had anything that suggested what the title says, that the pad will measure your heart rate and detect sweat. I imagine that will be, if you're in pressure environments, the game will be able to tell that, and either... Franks and Beans top. There's something about Mary reference there. Thank you. I'm glad someone got what it was. Is he Warren? Is that his name? Franks and Beans. Love that film. So yeah. Anyway, PS5 controllers will measure your heart rate, detect sweat, and that I imagine will be used for either toning up or toning down the jump scares. If you're playing a game and you're absolutely on the edge of like shock and stress, the game might go, actually, this guy's having a bit of a hard time here. Let's turn it down a bit. Or it might be, okay, this is the prime time to go. Whoa! Ah! The alternative is if it's measuring your heart rate and sweat suggests, then the PS5 might just have a warning pop up saying, Jamie, you're losing to Bibi on pairs yet again. Just put the controller down and walk away. If somebody wants to clip that, by the way. So yes, Next one, let's jump through into our final one, which gives us a little bit more to talk about. I mean, those are decent headlines, and we can waffle. We could have probably waffled about that stuff for a long, long time. But seeing as we like a little bit of Pokemon on this, we thought we would jump in to some Pokemon-alike news, and this is, we mentioned it on the show previously, Temtem. So Pokemon-like MMO Temtem's new early access roadmap adds player housing and more. So ranked matchmaking, new islands, and chat. This is written by Matt Wales for Eurogamer, and the article says Temtem developer Crema's massively multiplayer riff on Pokemon is off to a flying start. It sold over 500,000 copies in its first month of Steam early access, and now Crema is ready to share its future plans for the game by way of a new content roadmap. Crema has split its roadmap, which details the major features planned ahead of Temtem's 1.0 release, into two parts. Excuse me one second. With one part covering additions due between now and autumn this year, Crema does warn, however, that ideas change constantly and stuff we like today we might not like as much tomorrow, so features and dates aren't set in stone. At present, though, Crema anticipates that spring will bring club management, essentially a clan feature for friends, alongside in-game chat, which will include both private messaging and predefined group chat, including global, local, trade, and club channels. Additionally, players can expect a first pass at ranked matchmaking and spectator modes in spring, which is huge, that spectator mode in particular for me. All being well, summer should herald the arrival of a new island known as Kisiwa, 25 new Temtem, climbing gear, the second iteration of the game's emote system, and housing. Every player will get their own house as a base of operations, which friends can then visit. Houses can be decorated using furniture bought and earned in-game, and Crema says it's considering more functional furniture, so I think incubators and jukeboxes for the future. The final part of Temtem's current roadmap covers autumn and brings another new island, Chipanku, with 25 more Temtem, including their first legendary Temtem. In-game tournaments are also expected, as is a quest diary, plus achievements and accompanying rewards. Crema has gone a little more in depth with some of these features in its latest blog post, which is linked in the article just there, and part 2 of Temtem's content roadmap, which includes the trading house, dojo wars, and a new endgame island, will be detailed tomorrow. I mean, I don't know about you, but that sounds pretty tasty.
I know, right? It's what I've got a foot, because it is technically an MMO at this point. It's going to be a live service game as well, by the sounds of it, purely because that's what MMOs technically are. They're a live service game. They tend to never run out. They just keep on getting expanded, which is great. Because that's what I've been asking for a Pokemon game for a long time, rather than just it's easy money for Pokemon to release a game every year or two. The amount of money that generates, whether or not they're going to add new Pokemon in, take them out, change the location, or whatever the latest update would be. This roadmap, but mate, by Christmas, this game is going to be the biggest Pokemon-like game. I'd say this would eclipse Pokemon itself. Not in terms of historical closeness or ties with the Pokemon brand, i.e. I'm a Bulba guy, so I wouldn't have that affiliation or that affection to the Pokemon themselves. I don't know how I would, start to, bond's not the right word, but like have that relationship with these type of Temtems, shall we say. Will I still be talking about Temtems in 20 years' time like I was doing 20 years ago with Pokemon until today? I don't know, but as a game itself, by Christmas, mate, this is going to be affinity. That's the word. Well done. Thank you, Asim. I would have an affinity to these Temtems as I would do to the Pokemon stuff. I don't know, but by Christmas, this game is going to be, well, it's already amazing by the sounds of it anyway. So I would absolutely love to support this game now. I just don't have the time to play it. So hopefully I'll get a break in my schedule to play this game at some point. But I really do want to jump in and get started in this at some point, because by Christmas, like I said, is a brand new island. By then we should have 50 more Temtem and mythical Temtem, in-game tournaments, quest diaries, achievements, dojos, player matchmaking, literally everything that you could ever have wanted from a Pokemon game is going to be included in this.
Yeah, see, I would have used the word sentiment as well. There's no sentiment attached to Temtem like you have with Bulbasaur, like better Pokemon players have with Charmander. Like, whee! So yeah, there's none of that.
Jade.
There's none of there's none of that sentimental attachment that we've had forever, but there is sentiment attached to what you want from it. Let me just reach up and close this blind because the sun exists. There's a burning ball of fire in the sky in Manchester. I don't know what it is. So yeah, there's none of that sentimental attachment to the characters, to the Pokemon, but there is sentimental attachments to what you would like to be able to do in that world, or how you would like to experience that world. Not necessarily the things to do within it, but how the world is perceived. And how many times have you seen third-person like MMO style games being made by people that look amazing, and just as it starts to look good, Nintendo go squash. I mean, rightly so. I get that Nintendo is squashing it, but you think, okay, that's the third, fourth, fifth version of this thing that you've squashed. There is a demand for it. By holding people from the demand for something forever isn't a good long-term business strategy. It's good for the short term in terms of people will keep buying. Oh, it's not quite what I want, but this will satisfy. It's not quite what I want, but this will satisfy. Eventually, people will get bored to the point where they think, "Fuck it, I'll just give in. I'm not interested." Or they will get bored to the point that Pokemon won't scratch the itch, but Pokemon will, aka Temtem. It's clearly a rip-off, but it's not a rip-off if it's taken something and made it bigger, made it better, added the functions and things that people have been screaming for years. I mean, it took Ash a bajillion years just to win a Pokemon League. I get that. Yeah. I get that. If he won it straight away, what's the point? Where does he go from here? But they got there eventually. It took him, like, was it 22 years or something for him to finally win a league?
Mate, he's just caught a Dragonite after 23 years, do you know what I mean? Like, I was watching kid, and I would have been 7 when I started watching it, and he's only just caught a Dragonite.
Yeah.
It's just one of them things, isn't it?
But like those features that let's go over them again. Group chat, being able to chat with people. That's some of the best content from content creators and streamers. So forgetting about end user, let's think about content makers. Some of the best content that you can get from streaming, be it MMO games or battle royales or whatever. If you've got proximity chat, some of that content can be amazing. So having proximity chat where you're not trying to just kill people, but you're trying to interact with people, you're trying to make friends with people, you're trying to do business with people, i.e. trade Pokemon, you can get some amazing content out of that. Not only content, but experiences. Imagine, like, I play PUBG with a guy called Mike I've never met, but now is a guy that I know pretty well because we'll play games together and we can chat and things like that. No doubt we'll all have that. We have friends, most likely, a lot of people in here, through Pez, that we know, that we consider friends, but we've never met and possibly never will meet. That's the kind of joys and stuff that you get in games. It's so hard to do any of that through Nintendo stuff. But I get Nintendo have reasons for that through protection and things like that. But Temtem have already got that, and they're looking at ways of regulating that in a modern societal sort of way, rather than don't do it. But then, okay, moving away from chat, having those other elements. What was I had like? So obviously they've got incubators, they've got jukeboxes. You can create your own home, which people love in a completely different style of game. GTA Online, having the ability to create your own palace, your own penthouse apartment, not palace, actually. I don't know, maybe you probably can GTA. But having the ability to customize your own environment and decorate it and set it up. People have wanted that since Second Life a million years ago, where people were actually buying real world houses, but in digital format. I've bought my house in a game. You literally own your house. You don't need to spend 20 quid on a digital version. You actually own it. Yeah, but I wanted to buy it before someone else did. It's like people want to be able to customize and create their own home, their own base, their own hub, and we've never had anything that's even looking at that. Temtem's not even out, and they're already looking at. But then you get to, I'm trying to find the other bits. There we go. 25 new Temtem in each of the updates. Climbing gear. The second iteration of the game's emote system, so ways to express yourself in-game and communicate rather than just playing through a narrative. I mean, the other bit was, it was something like Esports. I'm trying to find where it was. there we go. Expect a first pass at ranked matchmaking and spectator modes. That has huge potential, because what Temtem has at this point in time is the ears of people that want the Pokemon experience to be better. They don't have the ears of proper Pokemon players. A lot of people don't know that Temtem exists at this point. And the esports aficionados aren't really aware. It's that thing that's a rip-off of Pokemon. But when it starts offering quality battling experiences, and not only quality battling experiences, but the ability to sit down and watch as a spectator, like you can in all of the top games, esports games, you can watch from not just my perspective as a guy on the ground in a battle, but see the full thing from above and see what everyone else is doing. When it gets to that sort of point, then it's, you think, fucking hell, how's it come so far so quickly? But yet Ash has only just caught a Dragonite. What the fuck?
Yeah.
So yeah, basically we're gonna bin off Resident Evil 3 so Bibby can just stream this.
I mean, either way, I'm good for whatever. But with FIFA and the Division 2 getting in the way, and obviously our Fortnite Battle Pass, your PUBG, Jedi Fallen Order, and Resident Evil 2, it seems like we're not going to be able to play any games in the near 7 or 8 months.
And such is the games industry. That's the mountain of shame. Isn't it ironic that the actual Pokemon evolve quicker than the gameplay? Yes, pretty much. Pretty much. But that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That's it for the show. We've had quite a bit of content, really. If you think about it, we've spoken about Xbox wanting transparency in the industry, a bunch of dickheads in the industry kind of making it a bit difficult when we single one of those out on stream. Pokemon isn't doing things that Temtem is doing off the bat. New PlayStation controller news potentially, and a whole lot more. So yeah, a lot of good stuff in today's show. If you like what you like and you listen to what we say and stuff, and you want to hear more, then feel free to hit the follow button on the channel now. That will notify you when we go live, which will next be in 9 minutes. Not us, but Josie will be back playing more. I want to say Dishonored, but I keep seeing her talking about Daud, and I've never played Dishonored, so I don't know if that's the right game or not. But yes, she will be back live in 9 minutes. We will be back again at 10 a.m. tomorrow with another remote dual stream setup, as we are doing now. Before we have the final scoop of the week on Friday, Bibby and Luke will be live from the Ice Cream office as the final pre-ICU Invitational number 3 stream. That'll be 10 a.m. obviously Friday morning. The invitation stream 6:30 on Friday evening. By the way, babe, Danielle is making us sexy meatball subs for the stream. By the way, so we get to sit there.
Oh my god!
Yeah. I just thought I'd throw that out there. You know.
Hello, thank you.
Yeah. So that is it. As I said, Josie will be back in about 8 minutes. We will be back tomorrow morning. But before we do disappear, anything you want to add, Mr. Biberino?
Yes, as always, if you do see anything knocking about the video game hemisphere, then do feel free to tag We've Got Rubinho and Graham_Day on Twitter. With your thoughts and opinions, we'll be able to give you our thoughts and opinions the very next show once we get the articles from you.
Hey, there we go. Have yourselves a lovely day, ladies and gentlemen. And until Josie's stream in 8 minutes and our stream tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., have yourselves a fantastic day. And remember, stay frosty.